Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. How are we doing today, audience, on this exciting day? Said no one in the audience.
It was exciting until it wasn't. We stayed in a range for 5 hours, but it is what it is. Holiday week, one more half day before we can take some time off in the markets. But welcome everyone to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this session is to review what happens in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we could take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay. Been a Top Step performance coach since June of 2023. Been trading for the past 13 years and in the futures markets for the past 6, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep for a little over 2 years. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some experience, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Coach Paul. You are all our chat, our audience. I want to thank you, like we do every day, for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, hit the thumbs up button on your way in, and let us know how you did in the chat today. Were you up on the day, down on the day? Shout out to Dan Trader, always number one in the chat. Janine, Tali, GDL, Andrew, D. Mitch. Sanu wants to know why we can't trade until 5 p.m. with Topstep with other props I can. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. It's how the program is set. Markets get a little illiquid after the close. But there are options out there. There are options out there for places that you can trade after. Those are the rules for Top Step accounts currently. I know there was a conversation about changing that. I don't know if it's on the roadmap at all, but
I'll give you a hint. Been doing this a long time. I don't.
yeah. Yep, I'm usually locked up in my personal account at that point too. Unless there's an event, but even then, what am I going to trade a Nvidia earnings with extreme low liquidity with my real money? Probably not. Not usually not worth the risk, in my opinion. But free market. All right. Let's get into the charts. We did have some numbers come out today. ADP employment change came in terrible. Negative 33,000 when the forecast was positive 98,000. So a huge miss there. Most of the loss in jobs were in education, healthcare, and financial services. And the gain in jobs was in hospitality. And when we were talking about that number earlier, Coach Paul, I know we don't focus on numbers too much, but is that a seasonality thing, right? We're in July, it's summer, education and healthcare coming down, and hospitality going up.
No.
Seems like the vibe for the summer, but I could also just be making shit up. I'm making shit up.
Well, when you start eliminating Department of Education,
Mm,
I think there's a lot of that in this. I think the economy's starting to tighten up, to be honest with you. But I mean, how many people were laid off the Department of Education, and then a trickle down? That's my first gut instinct.
got you.
But AI is starting to affect. And it's going to continue to erode. But that number was a little shocking. What was there a revision from the previous?
Previous was 37,000.
Was there a revision from that?
Not that I saw.
Okay. Yeah, that's not good news. Especially the size of that. So, but and the next big one is
Non-farm tomorrow.
Friday, tomorrow.
Non-farm tomorrow. Forecast is 110,000. Previous is 139. If that comes in negative, hmm.
Then we have a theme.
Then we have a theme, but the theme has also been bad news is good news is good news, and no news is good news. The markets don't care, and they continue to rally. So let us get into the charts unless there's anything else you have on the news, Coach Paul.
That's all I have.
All right. Uh, there was some talks from the president earlier today about a trade deal with Vietnam. Vietnam will pay the U.S. a 20% tariff on any and all goods sent into our territory and a 40% tariff on transshipping. Vietnam will pay the U.S. a 20% tariff on any goods. Basically, actually I just read that. The terms of that Vietnam will pay. Okay, all the same stuff. So we got somewhat of a deal with Vietnam. We saw Nike stock spike after that, which makes some sense. And that is about it for now. Let's get into the charts. There are 35 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts. And today, to the downside, we had the Ultra bonds down 0.5%. The 30-year down 0.51%, and the British pound, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, at 0.79%. You see some strength in the dollar today, maybe? Uh, Heating oil,
No,
no, nope, none
just
at all.
against the British pound.
None at all. Heating oil up 3.79%. Micro Bitcoin futures up 3.91%. And our biggest percentage mover to the upside, platinum, up 6.18%. Or our biggest percentage mover to the upside. This rally in platinum is pretty insane. Again, highest prices that we've seen since 2011. And highest prices that we've seen on the year in platinum, trading 1447.90 at the high of the day. I did take a short in platinum because I thought I saw a blow off top move. I was wrong. I got out with some profits, and I'm happy I did because that market is not stopping.
Oh, you did get out with profits on that.
Man, by the skin of my teeth, it was it was like somebody knocked on my door. They said, "If you don't take your money now, we're taking all of yours." So I just got out of the trade. And I'll show you what the setup was. It was kind of a J trade setup, but it didn't last long. Didn't last long at all. The To talk about our big four, we had crude oil. Pretty big move today for crude. We know that market's been in balance, up 2.96%. The S&P up 0.37%, gold up 0.56, and the Nasdaq up 0.62% to round out our big four. Real quick, I'll just do quick. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I'll make a comment after you do that.
I was just going to show the trade that I took in platinum was this here. We had the highest volume of the day at that point. This was at 11:21 Central Time. We closed below it, and I took a short, and it was good for about 6 points in
Right.
platinum before it was a quick scalp trade. And I think we've talked about this before, but ideally, I bought this market on the open and just held it, right, but I didn't. But taking a short, but I want my target to be VWAP. I could, but I have to understand that I am in a counter trend trade for what the market is presenting, and it's a see profit take profit trade. If I didn't, then that trade turns into a loser eventually. It gave me a nice opportunity to get out consolidated here at these lows, but I'm shorting a market that is fundamentally bullish, and I have to understand where my trades fit in that, and not try to make the market fit into my account. Uh,
Well, good. I mean, we talk about it. A good trader can make money in a rising market selling it. I'm not that good.
Most of
I'm
the time,
only
I'm not
looking to
either.
buy it, but nice out.
Thanks, Coach.
Did VWAP leave that range?
I believe it did. I believe it did, and that is why I like the trade. Let's take a look here. Eh, not really. I
It
think
kind of did, but
kind of
still.
did, kind of did, but not convincingly. Not convincingly. I actually took the trade on this candle right here, so I preempted this one.
All right. Well, nice out.
Thanks, Coach. All right, let's get into the markets we talk about all the time. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq on a daily. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up days. Yesterday was a little bit of a pullback. Back to the green today. What are we looking at here on the daily, Coach Paul?
Um, a weak rally onward with the trend. Um, it was up less than what was the range? Let me double check. It was a very small range. I typical summer rally. Like the news couldn't change it, and that was bearish news. So we're still in a bull market, but I don't know. It's because this number is going to be so big tomorrow that we couldn't break yesterday's high. Um, um, there- I'm not tempted to overanalyze it. We're
Yeah,
still up there. We're finding resistance up here, though. And this baby's got to get going. I think tomorrow could be really violent day.
I think so too. And it's kind of a half day, right? It's a half day.
It's a half day. What was interesting on that news is the bonds broke. At one point, they were down a handle, and that was news they should have rallied on.
Hmm.
So, um, otherwise, it's still a bull market. Um, buy the dip.
Buy the dip. Let's take a look at last night. Uh, and this was a buy the dip market. So um, I did the opening call this morning. I don't normally use a volume profile, but I did use one today because one with Hogue, he normally uses one. And one of the things he talked about, and we talk about the markets the same from our same viewpoint all the time. But one of the things Hogue talks about, and it makes a lot of sense, value, where the value area is, and basically that is on this volume profile. You can see on my charts, 70% of where the volume traded for the day, and we've had value overlapping somewhat. What does that mean? It means the market found balance for right now. It likes these prices. It's not really seeing an imbalance. It's not really seeing a reason to go anywhere else. And it's a pretty big range, right? For where we opened up last night, we were pretty much right at the point of control, which is the highest volume point of the day. Had a pretty nice push up to the upside, Coach Paul.
Yeah, more of a short covering,
Right.
if anything. I mean, this market. Look at how low last night that volume was tiny, just as most night volume is. Um, I find that interesting. Where did that come in? In Asia?
This here.
No,
Or
the rally.
oh yeah, the rally was in Asia. Yep, rally was in Asia.
So, but like you said, that we're still inside of that fair volume range. Even last night, we really didn't leave it.
Nope.
Um, I get- you know I haven't traded much equities in this last week.
Okay.
I this doesn't serve me well. I like markets that are moving, but
Yep.
interestingly enough, it's trading both sides of unchanged.
It is. It is. And I think I like markets that are moving too, that are trending, going in one direction. The equities are still trading decent ranges. Right? It's I think you best trade locations are the extremes of this range, right? Obviously, if I could have bought at the low here, could have. That was right after that ADP number. But the range is big enough to trade, right? There are some days where we see high to low ranges like 120 points in the Nasdaq, and at those days I don't want to touch it. And that's kind of what the second half of the day was after 10 a.m. Central. We were in a 50-point range for 5 hours. When the Nasdaq gets like this, I try to stay away from it. There was a decent trending move that we had this morning. We did have the ADP numbers come out. Uh, Said they weren't great numbers. Looked like the market was going to sell off. Here's the ADP print right here. Looked like we were going to sell. VWAP left the range, but then if we look higher time frame, again, we're still in a range. So we looked under yesterday's low, and found some buyers the same way we found buyers in that location yesterday, where range bound balance markets are going to do that eventually. So by the time we got into the New York session open, we were right back at regular session VWAP, bought it right back up to the upper extreme of the range. So, like Coach Paul said, we're not going to overanalyze it. This is a nice urgency trade during the New York session. Is taking this one on fast markets. I was looking to short gold, but hopefully somebody caught some of this trade. Let us know in the chat. Did you catch any of the longs in the equity markets today after the New York session opened? Because that was a beautiful trade. Like 150 points, 190 points to the high. Sheesh. Adiyinka, yes, you did nudge me for the J trade continuation. What market was that in? I can't remember. Oh, I did get long. I did get long after this spike down here. All right, let me explain that trade a little bit. All right, so we were pushing up. The Nasdaq pushed up above 22,820, and if we look at how this market was moving, Coach Paul, we were trending up while the volume started to decrease. But again, this is an uptrending market. This volume spike here, I bought after this pullback, right? We look for pullbacks in these markets in order to get long. I didn't get it at the low. I think I bought it at 803, kind of late, but was able to take 15 points out of that trade just waiting for a pullback. I didn't feel like, the market's going higher. And I have to admit, chat, there was a point where I was just like, damn it, you said you were going to buy it in the 700s and you didn't do it. Why didn't you buy it? And I have my finger over the buy button, but I have to remind myself that markets are going to pull back. Now, if it doesn't pull back, guess what? I have no trade. I missed the opportunity. But if it does pull back and it looks like it's still sustaining the rally, and look at where we pulled back to, that high volume spike, we pulled back right to 50% of it. Volume spike. Now this is my opportunity to try to get into a trend. Could have got better trade location, but whatever, I didn't. Still able to take some money off of it, but not jumping in here where the FOMO starts to set in saves me from a 40-point drawdown, which is an average stop. That's 2 ATRs on the 3-minute in 3 minutes, right? So not jumping into a trade, allowing the market to pull back first, and then getting in along helped this be a profitable day. If I would have bought here, today was a red day.
Coach, when you bought it, what was your exit
So
on that?
on this trade, what did I? So I bought it at, because I got in late, Coach Paul. Because ideally I would want to get in down here, somewhere down here, and it gave me an opportunity to. I just didn't. So I bought at 803, and I went with a smaller stop on this because the idea was we saw selling come in above 800. Right, this candle here was aggressive selling above 800. So my entry was above 800. I entered at 803. Now at this point, I said, because I'm late to this trade, if they can't hold the market above 800, I don't want to be in it, right? Because then that means this seller is probably going to start winning. So my exit was at 793, and was just looking for us to trade up to 840s, which we got to, and turned out to be a 3-to-1. I think I took like a 1.5-to-1 on the trade, just because wanted to give it the room to run if it was going to. But once we got to 2-to-1, I moved my stop up and secured some profits because I kind of got in late to that trade.
So classic scalp.
Classic scalp.
Nice.
Classic scalp.
That was a beautiful opening range breakout.
Man, was it? Was it? I wouldn't even need this scalp if I just took this freaking trade. But
If
here we
only.
are. Here we are. If only. If only. We don't play shoulda, woulda, coulda here. Take the trade the next time. And then we chopped around. So there's not really much to talk about from here. It was a range and it ended a range. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Anything else you got on the equities, Coach Paul?
That's it. Well, let's look at let's see what Rusty did.
A little different. A little different. We finally closed above the 200 on the daily.
Wow, it's picking up a little bit of momentum too. Yeah, we settled above it for the first time since what, April or March. That looks solid now.
Remember about 2 weeks ago, somebody said that this market needed to play catch up. I still say that my partner over here has some of the most underrated information in futures trading, period. I'll put you up against anybody,
Thank you.
Coach Paul. And again, it's just
Oh, thank
information.
you.
It's not investment advice, but I will stand on that. Uh,
Thank you, sir.
oh yeah, for sure.
That-
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's keep it up and keep the information flowing to our audience. Hopefully, everybody can profit from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, the Russell looked a little bit different. And I think what you said, Coach Paul, was all of the other equity markets are above the 200 moving average. This one has the most room to play catch up. And we've been consistently seeing the Russell as our percentage leader when it comes to the equities. Again, up 1.41%. Is that going to last forever? Probably not. But 2 days in a row now, we have the Russell being our percentage leader in the equities, while the Nasdaq and the S&P, which are at or near all-time highs, are contracting a little bit. So interesting stuff. I talked about it on the opening call today as well. But a really nice day in the Russell here. Very similar overnight session. But then if you look
Yeah.
at the New York session, one direction.
Wow. And there's a J trade for you.
Yes, it is. Right off the New York Open. That is a 30-minute chart. On the J trade Coach Paul is talking about is we get this high volume at the lows. We are normally going to see the highest volume during that open. Once we close above that, that was it. We got the urgency. VWAP left that range in the first 30-minute candle. Go to a shorter time frame, see what that looked like. Very similar. It took a little longer. It did take a little while for VWAP to leave that range. If we look at it here on the 3-minute chart. But once we closed above it, got that high volume spike. This is a market that's in an uptrend. Right? So if you ask Coach Paul, I'm only ever looking to buy this. So this is not an opportunity to short. It's a setup for a long once these sellers fail.
Yeah, that it's playing catch up.
Yep.
So on that half hour, let things clear out, and then the algos. And from the way I look at it, the algos clicked in, said, "Okay, buy it." And we
Buy
can
it.
see that from the structure of VWAP there.
Yep.
I mean, it almost looks like a fishing hook, doesn't it? That VWAP.
Yeah, it
Get
does.
some shorts in. For all
Got him.
those
Caught them
fishing
all. Caught all the
people,
fish.
caught them all.
I mean,
Dragged it in.
it's the analogy that we used to use all the time, right? Don't swim in front of the shark. If you're selling it down
Yep.
here, when that shark turns around, that's it.
Or if you sell it in there, be nimble.
Exactly. Exactly. We got a question, Coach Paul. Any insight on the Russell being the leading percentage? I've been watching it recently and it's been consistent. Anything more than just the catch-up play? I think I've heard something about, with yields in the treasuries going up. There's some correlation there. Anything you got there, Coach Paul? That's a better question for you than me.
Besides the catch up, I'm a technician. Um, there's some changes coming to Russell, some rebalancing, but that comes periodically. I said it. People, I think the the environment feels safer to buy equities.
Mm.
So broad based, the Russell's broad based. We're starting to see more institutions come in there. It's on sale. But I'm a technician, so I just see it in the chart.
Good stuff. Thank you, Coach Paul. All right. Let's go over to gold on a daily. Closed right at the 200, the 20 moving average. This market is resilient.
Yes, it is.
They tried to break it.
Well,
But
after yesterday's action, I think the shorts are like, mm, a little nervous.
yeah,
Um,
after this, so that reversal, when was that? That was Monday. Was that Monday? Yeah, that reversal we had on
Monday,
Monday.
God, it feels like a Friday today. Is that just me?
One more day to go, my guy. One more day to go. We're at the weekend. But yeah, after that reversal on Monday, there really hasn't been great short opportunities. I did take a short in gold today, but I think we saw that kind of, you know, maybe it was short covering because we did come a long way, but we stopped right at 3250s on Monday to open the week, and it's been a rally ever since. Wow. Okay, so
Mm,
now if I look at this
there's
way, why the hell are you shorting this market, Jay? Uh,
well, if you did it like your Nasdaq, well, you have to be quick and nimble. You can do that here, and I don't ever want to tell someone they can't take a short.
right.
Don't. That's not my intention. Well, my intention is I trade within the flow, but yeah, there's if you have a way to do it, just understand, like you said, you're going against the flow.
Yeah.
Wha-
100%.
You have to you have to know that it's a scalp,
Right.
and you can do it. Um, I don't want to do it. So, what did you see when you took that sell today?
So let me pull up the execute here quick. Oh, you. Right. So we had we had the value area from yesterday, right? And
Mhm.
put this up on my charts. And value area low was 33.47. I took a short at 33.52, where if we look at today's price action so far, at the point that I took this trade, take this off, we were above the Globex opening range the first 30 minutes that we look at, and volume was lower, right? So initially it was, hey, this is a range bound market, fade the extremes of the range, right? So up here, I want to be a seller. I took profit on the trade, but what I was looking for was shorting it above this VWAP, and then I was looking for acceptance of price under this value area low here, right? This yellow line that I just put on my chart. Let me clear this up.
Yeah.
Uh, clear everything up here. Was looking for acceptance under 33.47. We never got it, right? So what I was looking at, I was in a trade. I said, okay, I'm in a trade that's in profit. If we accept price lower than that value area low, then there's potential for us to rotate all the way lower. But I'm in a counter trend trade still. So at this point, Coach Paul, I think I had 70 ticks in profit. I have to move my stop into profit because it's a counter trend trade, right? And if we can see, we stopped literally right at that value area low and bounced from there. So trade management, I think, is extremely important. Just because I have an idea doesn't mean the market agrees with my idea. Try to remind myself all the time that the market does not give a shit what I think. And that helps me manage trades, right? The minute I start thinking I know better than the market, when we start losing money unnecessarily. Could this have been a bigger trade? Sure. But I think I took about maybe 40% of the P&L high on this trade, giving it a little bit of room to work. I'm okay managing trades that way. Um, but at no point could this trade have turned into a loser after being so well in the profits that, maybe I had bigger eyes. My eyes were bigger than my stomach. Um, but I'm happy that with the way I managed it because otherwise it's a loser,
All right.
right?
And boy, that was a go- gold was a there's a balanced day
Yeah, it is.
till the end.
Yep,
And actually, that rally at the end was after the settlement close, I believe.
it was. We haven't
Yeah.
talked about that trade in a while, but yeah, it was.
Um, it's interesting is crude had that decent rally, and there's not any headlines here. It just seems like there's something going on behind the
Behind
scenes.
the
I'll
scenes.
get my tin hat back on, but that's kind of funky action. Um, but as soon as we closed, boy, that was a pretty good rally.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. Settlement for gold is at 120 Central Time, 125, 130. Here it is. This is the
Mhm.
settlement. So settlement price is going to be here. We talk about gold tomorrow. It's going to be already in the green. It's a
Yep.
nice trade. We've detailed this one before for our loyal viewers. Looking at gold after settlement, sometimes it moves. That VWAP leaves that range. It's a pretty damn good trade. While the equities were just chopping around all day. All right.
Do we
And
offer loyalty points?
we should. We should. We got this
We
thing in the
should.
chat
Okay.
now, this top fans thing, right? We got shout out to Courtney, #1 spot right now. Got ER Shredded, #2, and Bobby's World, #3. Shout out to our top fans. I don't know, maybe someday we'll do something with those rankings. Maybe some loyalty rewards for our committed viewers who are here with us every day. We appreciate you all. Can't do this show or any of these shows on Topstep TV without you guys, so we appreciate you. Pie, it is a little bit distracting. I'm like, what? But we'll get used to it. We'll get used to it. I'm like, is there a bunch of Sacramento Kings fans in this crowd? Like, what is going on here? These purple crowns. But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get used to it.
it is.
Or we'll turn it off. All right, let's take a look
All right.
at crude oil. NQ is rallying after the close. Is it?
Yeah. Did Congress pass the?
I don't know if I would call this rallying, guys. We're still in that range. It did move up, but let's see. Their news. I think this is just kind of floaty price action. If we were breaking the high
S&P's
of the
doing the same.
yeah, if we were breaking the high a day, well, S&P is breaking the high. Get any news? Anyone know? Not seeing anything.
And it's not that big of a it rallied. The S&Ps were up 23. They rallied 5 points. That was the 1 second ACR a few months ago.
Right.
But yeah.
Markets go up. More buyers and sellers. I don't see a headline or anything like that, so not sure why there. Let's take a look at crude oil really quick.
All right.
Go ahead, Coach.
No, go. I was going to say, let's go to crude.
Go to crude. Here it is on the daily. Finally making some movement here.
Finally making after that dramatic break. What's interesting, we played around with that 200 today. We didn't play around. I believe it was the low. They had a pretty good rally. Without any big news. So let's start with last night.
And I'm gonna mark
Half
out
hour
this. Let's do that.
to the 200.
Yep. And why don't we do the 20 as well? All right. Last night's open. VWAP attached to it. What are we looking at here, Coach? You're on mute. There you go. Now I can hear you. Nope. Can't hear you now. Where'd you go? Did we lose him? Go ahead. Say something now. I can hear. No, I can't hear you. You guys hear Coach Paul? I don't think so. Yeah, I lost your audio, Coach. They took him out. He was going to give up some good information, but they took him out. Let's figure that out. But all right, here we are. We have the 200 moving average. There's a bunch of lines that I drew here. Actually, let's just clear this up because the 200 moving average on the 30-minute is the same 200 moving average on the daily, right at this 65 65-40, 65-30-ish area. Crude has been in balance, and we've been talking about over the last couple of days. The trade has been sell it above the 200 moving average on the daily, buy it below until that changes. And when I did the opening call this morning, it was interesting that we saw this 200 moving average on the daily start to act like a support. There we go. You say something now, Coach Paul?
Okay,
There we go. We got you now.
you can hear me?
Loud
Wow.
and clear.
The gremlins are back.
They tried to get you. Tried to get you. He was going to
Right,
drop.
continue, coach. I was enjoying listening to
Yeah.
you.
Claire said you were about to give the market maker secrets. They couldn't let you do it. So, be careful out there. Be careful. You don't know who's watching. But we started to use, we were selling above, buying below, and eventually, like this morning, we started to use that 200 moving average as a support, and it looks a little different, right? We can just see it in the price action, where we come down to that area. Volume doesn't trade lower than this white line here. Volume's not trading lower. Price is testing it, but it's not selling the way it was before. Let's look. I'm gonna look at a couple of the prior days. Stayed under it. Stayed under it. Okay, but we can see the market's not really respecting this level. It's trading on both sides. This morning and in the London session, we use it as a support, and that's a little bit of a change in the market structure there. Gave us a couple of opportunities to buy it off that 200 moving average. What else are you seeing here, Coach Paul?
Well, once we was yesterday, we got above it,
Mm-hmm.
and we spent time above it.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of time, like through the settlement, overnight. We had a rally in London, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yesterday?
uh, last night.
Last night, yes, we did. Yeah, we did. Let me clear this up so we can see it. Here is the London session open.
Because yeah. So we got that. And look where we come back to, right? Is it the 8 o'clock opening?
This is no, this is inventories. So crude oil inventories came out today. We checked that London session open. News expedites the move. They said, hey, you know what? Let's buy a little bit more before we go up. That was it.
And so I think this is pretty friendly to this market.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's how many times we did it last night, we tested this area. We did it yesterday. Once we got above that 200, we didn't yesterday for our extended where we closed above it. And then we look at that wick on the news, and we had a J trade, did we not? That was the high volume before that news. Yes, we did.
It was on the news. It was the news candle itself. So I went down to a 3-minute chart here. That is that news candle range. By the dip. By the dip after the news, and we do this, and I kind of feel like I've kind of gotten away from it. I actually, not even gonna say that. Framing out news candles and seeing how the market responds after the news can be a strategy. There was a question about any advice for tomorrow from Little Design. Little Design, if you can do me a favor and get the date for the last NFP print, I'll show you what my plan is for tomorrow because it's the same plan every time there is a news print. But that headline, Coach Paul, gives an opportunity for urgency in the markets. A headline comes out, and if it's market shifting enough, we'll see the market react to it. And
I'm curious, what was it bearish or bullish number?
it looked pretty bullish. On the reaction was bullish.
The reaction, yeah, that's why I said what was the
Right.
what was the number? I'm just
Came in at
curious.
3.845 million positive. Forecast was negative 2.7 million.
So there was more supply.
Yeah,
That's a bearish report.
correct.
So all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't maintain a downward trend.
Okay,
Um,
okay, I like that.
did you like that?
He's a poet.
Yeah, I used to, I'm a so yeah, that just kind of came out freestyle, you know me.
Yeah.
But um, when you see that kind of action, be wary because if we go back to that daily, we had no follow through.
Nope.
That is the essential dead cat bounce. I mean, it just flat. Now it's picking up momentum with bearish news.
Which is, yeah, kind of backwards, but that's why you trade what the chart tells you. Could have sold on that number because it's a bearish number. But at the end of the day, the markets are going to do whatever the hell the markets wants to do. And you know, if we want to make money, we have to trade what the charts are saying. And the fundamentals can give you a clue into it. But it may be the fundamental trade is to fade the bearish news because that's what the market did. Maybe it wasn't as bearish as they
Uh,
thought it was going to be.
so look at the high today from that second big candle down. We're still in the range.
Yep.
So before we get too carried away, we went back. Are we gonna? And we've seen this before in crude.
Hmm.
We could stay in a range till 2026.
It really
I'm
can.
not claiming that, but crude has shown a propensity to get stuck in a range.
Absolutely.
But nice trade today on the upside. Um, Bad selling drives a market higher better than good buying.
Yeah, really
Um,
nice. That high we were talking about from the prior day, that second down day after the huge sell off, 67.84. If I'm looking at crude, I'm looking to see whether or not we accept inside this range of that huge downward candle. The low is 66.66, somewhere around there. And, this is a huge imbalance. The market does like to fill these imbalances eventually. My experience could take 6 months for crude to fill this imbalance. So I'm not looking for it to happen right away, but um, 50% of that downward move was around 72.50. Long way from where we are right now. It's about 7% in crude, but this headline sensitive market, I'm not asking for headlines, but it could get moving quick uh, in any case. All right.
yeah.
Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach Paul? We got about 15 minutes left. Chat if you guys do have any questions. Little design, if you got that date on if you're still here, first of all, and if you got that date on that last NFP number, I'll show you what my plan would be for tomorrow.
In the meantime, let's look at the bonds because they had, we had that bad news on the employment, which should be friendly to bonds.
Right?
And bonds broke. Now we've been in this channel, upward channel off those lows. And that's kind of like there was a term in trading called it looks like it's being pushed on a string. You know, you know, and so there's a nice channel. Um, but today's news, and and we have a negative reaction in the bonds. That's um, that's concerning.
Hmm.
Um, there's a war going on in treasuries right now. I don't really want to go deep into it, but the Fed in the short term can control things. 30-year, 20-year bonds, they can't control it. So this, watch that bottom of that channel or that little trend line. By the way, Coach Jay, you've become very good at putting in trend lines.
Man, I've had some practice. Had some practice this
You've come a
uh
long way.
yeah, man. There was a time last year where Coach Paul would ask me to draw a trend line. I said I don't do that. Uh, it's just like I don't draw those because I'm not great at it. But yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah, I would just keep that on that high of the move, that other high,
this
and it's kind of it'll be parallel. No, no, that the the top.
you know what? I'm gonna use another
Just
trick.
leave it like that.
Leave it like that. All
Oh,
right.
I know what you're gonna do.
Where is it?
Show us. I mean, actually, yeah, channel.
I learned
Where
this
is it?
from Coach Ray. Where's the channel? This one? There it is. Sort of like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a channel.
There we go.
And so, by the way, that's why it feels whenever you see a channel. I studied a lot of physics when I was during COVID.
Okay.
I'm a, anyway. Did you know that if you see a straight line, that's a channel in a nautical term? It's man-made. No natural channel is straight. It forms an S. So a river or
Hmm.
stream, it's a natural. Um, why I bring that when I see channels like going against the trend, it seems to me it's being forced.
Interesting.
Like, and I'm gonna keep an eye out. I like that channel. I watch that bottom of that trend line. If we settle underneath on the rules of trend trading and on a trend, it's over.
Hmm.
So we could get a move back down to the lows. Now let's add a moving average to it.
Oh wow.
Oh,
What's that
what
white
was
line
that,
there?
Coach Jay?
What is that white line
Oh,
doing there? That is the 200 moving average on the daily. Uh, stopped right at it.
so this market of in option land, I know that if you have cheap volatility, you could buy some strangles, but this market is
It was a
look
sell
at
from
that.
last night.
Yeah, and that doesn't do this too often overnight.
No, it doesn't. Uh,
Holy
yeah, no, it doesn't. That selling started in the Asia, kind of into the London session. By the time we got to New York, it was already done.
Coach, why didn't you call me and tell me?
So we'll talk. But what we were talking about, Coach Paul and I, once we get off of here, like we can't get enough of the markets. We talk strategy and stuff like that afterwards. Yeah, this was an interesting one.
Very interesting because bonds do not move like that in Asia.
Right.
It's usually like watching paint dry, and that I was not watching markets last night, but it's a structure that we've seen how many times since we started this? Whether it's bonds, uh, gold,
Corn, wheat, the Nasdaq,
corn.
platinum. This structure is called urgent. We call it the urgency trade for a reason. Somebody we don't know. I
Doesn't
don't
matter.
know. I have no idea fundamentally why this is happening. I gonna be honest. I think you would agree, Coach. I don't care. But if I could find a trade that's doing this, somebody. So here's the thing. Whoever is trading this and trading this size in a time where it doesn't normally happen, they care. All I want to do
That's
is identify where they are and in what market they're in and trade with them. Right? We talked about the equity markets being in balance and things like that. This is imbalance. Somebody either wants to or has to sell this market, and they did it from the time the market opened. And that, in one word, is urgency. And there's opportunity and imbalance.
uh, Coach, this, like I said, we'll go through this from a perspective of why this is we call it urgency. And by the way, you heard it here first. So hit that like button.
Hit the like button.
And that's we won't bother you anymore for the like button, but you should do that just without being reminded. So on the opening, we're going to do a little how imbalances work. I'm going to be the seller.
Mhm.
All right. And I've got a lot to sell, but Jay doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So I say, Jay, what's your bid? Oh, give me a bid for, and I know Jay is a 100 lot trader.
Yeah. I'll
So I
bid.
say,
I got 100 on 5.
You're going to pay 5 for 100? Sold.
All right.
Okay, he's got 100. Now he turns around. He'd like to sell sixes. Offer sixes.
Offering 6s.
Sell 105. Now,
So,
what are
wow.
you going to do, coach?
What the hell? I wanted 6s.
So, yeah. So, coach, what's there? You want to try and scratch.
Right.
And I'm at 5. So offer 5s.
I'm offering 5.
Sell 200 at 4.
Now the price is at 4. I'm holding long 100 at 5 that I need to get out of. And now I'm underwater in
So
my position. Now I'm going to offer 4.
sell 200 at 3.
Coach Paul just pushed the market lower. I'm trying to figure out how the hell I can even get out with a decent loss, right?
Sell 200 at 2.
What is going on? I need to get out of this position.
Yes.
I'm just going to liquidate. I'm out of this position. And then we see a little bit of a bounce here. That's what's happening in this. Again, imbalance moves markets. Coach Paul had 1,000 to sell. I only look to buy 100. Say that for every buyer, there's a seller, which is true. But what price are those sellers at? Is the question. Or what price are those buyers at? Coach Paul wants to sell 1,000. He might only find a buyer willing to buy 1,000 down here. And the market is going to move until it finds the buyer willing to take that imbalance.
That's how markets at its core work. A market that's in balance, and we've had this discussion, is when you add one of the great things is you can teach an old dog new tricks. I struggled with volume, using volume in my trading.
Yeah.
Working with Coach Jay, who is his front of mind is reading volume. And it's added it's added to my view of markets. I didn't understand because I would hear, like I said, in a trading pitch, volume was a guess.
Yeah.
We'd always guess, and it always be, Goldman sold 1,000, Morgan sold 2,000,
Hmm.
if in the market's breaking, because I mean you're not going to get that was an assumption, but the beauty here is we see the volume.
Yep.
That's live volume. So now, when we talk about imbalances move a market. An imbalance of what? Price?
Price can't be imbalanced. It's just an advertisement.
Right. It's used to mark where a trade happened.
Yep.
Now, when you use volume with price, you get a better picture of the action. That's when we see urgency. I don't care if it's in bonds. I don't care if it's in soybeans, rice, DAX. Throw a shout out there for DAX that hopefully comes soon.
Coming soon.
That's what moves the market. And that was wow. I did not see that. Great example.
For sure. For sure. And I see some traders saying that's why we need volume charts, footprint, and delta help. Uh, Again, I'm going to advocate for more Topstep X volume tools. But I'm going to be honest. I think learning how to do more with less may help. I think over the year, kind of trying to understand over the past couple of years, trying to understand the context of VWAP a little bit more. There was a question from somebody yesterday. I don't remember who it was, but they asked for a resource to learn VWAP. Brian Shannon's book on anchored VWAP. I would suggest that book heavily to anyone who wants to understand how to read volume using VWAP alone. Um, I would suggest that, but learning how to do more with less, and I think with a VWAP tool and just normal volume, you can do a whole lot. But yeah, the footprint delta stuff, it's added confluence to what we already kind of look at reading volume, but you could do a lot with what we have here. All right. Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach Paul? We got about 3 minutes left, or we can wrap it up.
Oh, Canadian dollar, real
Canadian
quick.
dollar.
It's my new best friend.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why. Friends in high places. You got friends in high places here. This market just keeps going up.
It doesn't do it easily.
Yeah.
But um, great rally today. Look at the daily. What's the low of the day? The 20 day moving average, which is we've been curling with that.
Yep.
So let's mark that 20-day. All right.
Tick value for the Canadian dollar, Coach Paul. It's $5.
It's $5, a half a tick,
Gotcha.
a half a point. I'm sorry. That was a half a point. Is the minimum tick is $5? Yes.
So each one of these moves on the dime is going to cost you $5.
Yeah, it's well within our means. So let's look at last night's action. Nothing much. We kind of broke. Where did we break to, Coach?
Right to the 20-day moving average, this yellow line that we have here, somewhere near the low of yesterday's range. It looks like if I put a volume profile on here, similar to what we were looking at in the
Yes.
equities. Yep. Value area,
Yes.
lower value. Yeah,
That's a great tool.
it is.
And I look at that value area.
Yep.
So now we have some more context. By the way, I've used it. I came from a market profile background. So using that, look at that.
Yeah.
What so when we're seeing that and this market is in an uptrend, we're seeing an opportunity. Now, how do we frame out a trade?
Yep.
Well, if when it hits one of the ways I look at it, when it hits that 20 or that value line from yesterday, how much am I willing to buy it down here? How much am I willing to risk? Because you have to take some risk. So let's say it's 2 ATRs. Right when it touches, just on a pure price basis. And yep, there was a 2-to-1
Sure.
there. Or let's say I want VWAP to leave the range. Or I could put VWAP here. This is the beauty of anchored VWAP. The first time it touched the 200, I put a VWAP on there.
Talking on mute. Basically, what Coach Paul is looking at here is we have a general area for where we want to trade. I actually love doing this. I probably need to do this a little bit more, Coach Paul. You have a general area for where you want the market to trade, and then and you've been doing this from that point on because that's your market open, right? I'm not doing anything until it hits this 20 moving average. From that point on, how does the market respond? It's almost like looking at a news event or something like that, or a a session open. From that point on, we had urgency to the upside.
And at that point, we had look at that volume buying. That was 2 times the average, maybe 3 times the average.
Yep.
So there is now we have a lot of information that the buyers are there.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's different ways to look at a market. by the way, if it seems like cherry picking,
Mhm.
you had to buy it and take some risk.
Yeah.
Don't ever you can't go to a casino and go, "Yeah, I like that hand, but I don't I'll put in my ante after I see the card." Doesn't work that way. We are still risk managers. Wow, that really took off.
Yeah, it really did. And again, it may seem like cherry picking, but if you've been joining us for a while, or you just started joining us and you hang out with us for a while, you'll notice that we talk about the same things all the time, ideally with the goal of identifying this stuff in real time so then we can take the trades, right? Right now in the Canadian dollar, is there much of a trade going into tomorrow's session? I think it would be still to the upside, right? There is still some room up to these highs that we took out. Looking at this June 17th candle here on the daily, maybe potentially trying to go take out those highs or at least the open of that candle. But ideally, what we're doing here helps you analyze markets when you do your prep and you say, the same way we saw that this came down to that 20 moving average. It's like, hey, you know what? I've heard Jay and Paul talk about this. Coach Paul loves that 200 moving average. I'm going to look for a potential opportunity around there. Is it going to give you a trade? Maybe, maybe not. Um, should you take the trade blindly off of information that you learned from two guys on YouTube? Definitely not. But if it's enough for you to say, hey, I'm going to take that information and try to build a strategy, build my own strategy around it, uh, you know, hopefully that's something that you can do every day. Shout out to Psalm 91. Said you took your fifth payout today. I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about you took your first payout. So
Wow.
congrats. The road to a live account is 5 payouts from an XFA. So Psalm 91, whether the Topstep team reaches out to you or not for a live account, you are putting real money in your bank account, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Whether it comes from an XFA, a live account, or somebody else's pockets, don't go to jail.
Yeah.
But nice trading. You know, and keep going, regardless of the account.
That's great news. A regular viewer, we appreciate you there, and we're really happy for you. Great job.
We'll take it easy. That was a joke. I'm gonna delete that comment. It's called a joke.
Humor.
Yeah, laugh a little bit.
Do I look like a clown?
All right.
Or,
Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach? We're above time right now. Anything else you want to talk about?
no, we have a big number tomorrow. Still, trade your plan your trade, manage your risk, and be consistent. It's why we do this. The review, hopefully it's helping. But realize don't trade in front of the number for tomorrow. It promises to be kind of vicious.
Here
That's it.
is for Little Design. Hopefully, you're still with us. Any advice for tomorrow? This is the last NFP print that we had. In a 3-minute candle, we had a range of, see, high to low, 3 minutes, 88 points. So my plan for NFP is to let the number print. Gonna let the market, digest that information. Same thing I do with every newsprint or big headline moving event in the market. Attach a VWAP to it and see how the market responds from there. You see how this VWAP is starting to kind of tilt upwards. I'm probably not taking any trades until, and I will, because come on, don't do that.
Oh man, that was
Come on,
nothing
why
but
would you do
wrong.
that? Why would they do
The
that?
secrets, because you're giving away secrets.
Giving away the trade secrets. All right, let's go back real quick and we'll take a look. Uh, but okay, it's not letting me go back. But you get the idea. Let the market digest the information first, and then trade afterwards. We can see. Okay, here we're back at July 6th. Uh, sorry, June 6th. VWAP left the range to the upside. We can see the market respected 50% of this range. So I want to identify the range of NFP. And why are we looking at that, right? There are some market participants that have to be on the books here. And there's a range that they're going to trade. from that point, we said the market likes to fill imbalances. There's a huge imbalance here. The order books are going to clear out. Market comes down and holds 50% of that. That's a great entry. Here's a J trade right off of that 50%. Decent volume, not the highest, but for that time of day, above 2 times the average. Nice trade from there. So I wanted to know what that range is first, and then I'll make decisions from there. Got anything else, Coach Paul? We losing?
That's it.
That is it. That is it. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Trade well, manage your risk tomorrow, manage risk every day. Do not go into a holiday weekend doing some shit that you're not gonna be happy about, right? Don't spend your whole burgers and hot dogs budget on losing in the markets tomorrow. We don't see you tomorrow. We will be doing At the Buzzer after the daytime show is over. The daytime show is going to run short tomorrow, ending at 12 p.m. Central Time. We're going to run At the Buzzer right after it, and then go into the weekend. But if we don't talk to you, have a safe holiday weekend. Enjoy your time off. Those in the States, for those not in the States, enjoy some time off of the markets. And we will talk to you all tomorrow.
At noon, right?
Tomorrow at noon. That is correct. Tomorrow at noon. Right after
Yes.
the daytime show. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.